Boom. Yep. And I would use the term tone healthier. And here's what I mean. When we outgrow people, sometimes our values become healthier. Sometimes our new point of view and ideas become healthier. When the people or friends, and I don't know if any of our listeners have this, which I'm gonna embark on because I think there's 7 signs that we're outgrowing our friendships and circle. But when our people or friends begin to criticize us for what is extremely valuable for us, that's a good sign that A, they're not willing to grow, and B, you have grown. You follow me? And then here's the other thing too. Let's say you do outgrow someone. Let's say you realize that, hey, this person's, for some reason, we're talking about the past. Why every single time when we're together are we talking about the past? Remember the good old days? Remember when we did X, Y, and Z? But that's the past. Okay? What are you talking about currently? How is that relationship morphed during that time when you did have time in the past to where you are now? The time you should be talking about is now. Like, and that's the thing too. When you do begin to outgrow someone, I want to say this. When the process occurs when you know that you're becoming the better person and becoming healthier and your ideas are becoming healthier and you know this other person is not, just don't confront them about it. Okay? Be yourself, be authentic, and express who you are authentically. I think is a really beautiful thing. And Tone, I want to leave it this and then you can jump in here. Here's why I framed the whole statement on why outgrowing is successful for our lives. I think outgrowing people in itself in genuinely knows that we're growing in areas of our lives that are allowing us to be better humans, better capable of loving other people, better capable of loving yourself more. And I truly think, Tone, it's a true art of something that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, he's good. Yep. Well said. And I want to go off of what you said there, Tone. I want to ask you this question because I found this quote and I want to dissect this quote before I give my 7 signs to everybody that we're outgrowing our friendships and outgrown them. But what do you think of this quote? I'm going to give you my feedback on the quote and then I want to hear yours. If you are not losing friends, you are truly not growing up. Now, I took that quote as very a negative sense because I think relationships morph. I think relationships can either sometimes be toxic, they sometimes can be unhealthy, but I think the ones that are beneficial for our lives are the friends that stay with us when we're plateauing, are the friends that stay with us in our highs, and the friends that stay with us when we're low. So I would have to say, going back to the quote, which was, if you are not losing friends, you're truly not growing up. I would have to just say lifetime friends. Like, you're not going to lose a lifetime friend because they're constantly growing and evolving with you to try to become that 1% better mentality. That's like my slogan, y'all, right? But that's just the thing. How are you growing? Are you taking that rubber band? I use this analogy so much, Tone. Are you taking that rubber band? You know how we have a rubber band, and are we stretching it? Are we stretching it? Are we stretching it? Are we stretching it? It's also like this. I've also used this metaphor. We're all so comfortable in this little bubble, but we're afraid to step out of the bubble because, one, we have set up, I would say, fixed mindset boundaries, which are not, I think, vital for our personal success. But I think it's important that we become well rounded in that aspect. And I think for you to become a better friend, a better quality, you also got to set up. So, Tone, what you had said a little bit about, well, maybe there's some negativity about this friendship, or what it may be, is set up boundaries. Like, maybe there's a family member in your life that when you call, you get this angst because they're always kind of pounding you with stuff. Well, I don't think you should do this. I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should do that. Well, have you set up boundaries with that person? So, Tone, I'm gonna read the question one more time, and I want you to respond. If you're not losing friends, are you truly not growing up? Go on, let's hear it. Mm, boom. Yeah. Yeah. No, I like it. And Tone, well, let's just jump in because you've kind of hit some of them already. But so signs that we're outgrowing or outgrown a friendship. And number one, you pretend to be the old version of yourself. So here's what I'm going to say, and I want to hear what you have to say, Tone. Is stop shrinking, y'all, to fit in places that you have outgrown. Right? For some reason, I personally, if I've got someone that wants to constantly go out and wants to hang out in the bar scene, that's not me, y'all. That's the old version. That's just not me. So I'm not going to shrink to fit in a place that I have outgrown. Does that make sense, Tone? Mm, mm, yep. Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny. I follow a lot of avid influencers on TikTok, and I just want to reference this really quick. So, one of the gentlemen, he was getting invites to P Diddy's birthday party, Ti's birthday party, and he's like, "Well, what time does the party start?" And he's like, 10:30. So he's like, well, hold on a second. So your party starts at 10:30 or even midnight, I think it was. He turned down all these opportunities to go do that because his fixed mind, or not, I'm like, change, his mindset was that I'm about personal growth, setting up boundaries for myself so that I can be truly successful, which then brings me into the next step of signs that you're outgrowing a friendship is your friends have really become one-sided. And here's what I mean. They are constantly just talking about themselves. They're not asking you opening ended questions. They're not asking and concerned about what you're working on. How are you growing? What are you doing better? Friendships should not be that one sided because if they are one sided, that might be a sign that you truly have outgrown a friendship. What do you think, Tom? Yeah. Yeah. Or it's the fact that what's awesome about exactly what you talk about is the fact that you pick off exactly where you left off. It could have been a year ago, or it could have been 2 years ago. Those are quality friends. Ah. Ah. You're taking one of mine away. That's exactly it. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because that was my fourth one on the list was there's no way you could be with friends. Well, let me say that again. Take two. There is no way you would be friends with them if you met them today. And do you get that sinking feeling when you hang out? Do you dread hanging out with that person, or would you rather just hang out with a bigger crowd to become that detour? And that's exactly what you had said. And then here's another one, and I mentioned this earlier, but when you spend most of your time, is it reminiscing of the good old days? Which means our past is only a shared connection. All right, what are you doing that is sharing your present connection? And oddly, I've been guilty of this one where, man, when I hang out with a couple of my college friends, which they're still some of my best friends, but we might reminisce about the old days, and that's something that I've got to do a little bit better about, better job about. But and then here's another one, Tone, number five. And I'm curious on what your thought is on this one because I came up with this idea. You don't miss them, or you are completely more happier without them. And it's funny because my foxhole friends, I look for, like you had mentioned our podcast and how you feel pumped and hyped and excited. And, my first opportunity that I just got to work out after 11 days, I reached out to you right away, because I was like, man, my guy needs to hear this because I know he's rooting for me. And same as for me is I get pumped, I get excited when we get to do this podcast. It's our way of connecting. And, for those of you that don't know, we kind of share each other's, we have some kumbaya moments in the beginning of our podcast where, hey, check in on me. What's good? What's not so good? What are you working on? Things of that before we even get into dissecting our podcast. But that's the thing, Tone. Do when you don't miss them, or you completely are more happier without them. What do you think? Go in. Let's hear it. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. Or even set up boundaries because you realize now what they provide during that interaction, right? So you have your friends that you want to hang out with at concerts, right? They're a lot of fun. But maybe having that sit down conversation like you and I have, maybe not so much. Yeah, absolutely. And there's friends, hey, and there's friends that allow them to bring their dog with them to spend with you for 5 days. Hey, for those of you that don't know, Toad's coming and bringing his dog during 4th of July. It's our first time hanging out. It's going to be epic. But anyway, go on. Boom. Mm. Yes. It's it's draining too. Yeah. Well, you got but with all due respect, man, you've got a lot going on. But yes, I hear you. Yeah, so just to say exactly what you had said is if you're going to call with a problem in your mindset, if I'm going to call you Tone, I've already established a solution. I just want your feedback on that particular problem because I respect your opinion and I value your opinion. Mm, yep. Yeah. Yeah. Or yeah, and Tone, I was just going to say too is maybe that person just wants you to listen. So then when you're having that conversation, Yeah, if you're gonna have that conversation, Tone, do you want my opinion on this, or do you just want me to listen? Man, I really need you to listen right now. Boom. And we interrupt this programming to bring you our wonderful sponsor. Yeah, so Tone, bringing it back and talking about all of that, it's just vital that we understand that boundary piece and that we're setting it up in place. And which brings me to no, my last two. Ask yourself this question: Are you both indifferent? Do you both take two? Do you both want different things? And if you do, this is because you're both at different places in your life. And then the last one, Tone, and I want to get your feedback on both of those. You realize how negative they are. You just alluded it to it, right? Are they constantly calling you because it's something negative? It's something constantly, constantly, constantly. And if that is the case, you all, you have to understand that you have to really then evaluate that friendship. And if you still want them in your life, I think at that point in time, you have to ask them why, when we're constantly talking, I feel that this is always negative. Give me something positive in your life. And then the last bullet point, I just want to give this to our listeners for our friends. And I think, Tone, you and I do this really, really, really well with each other. Do we offer advice that will challenge our friend? Do we offer, are we staying on top of them when they're going through their goals? Are we establishing some quality feedback to keep them going? What do you think, Tone? Mm. Mm-hmm.